Hello and welcome to this episode of Cosmic Crow Tarot, where today we're going to be talking about the tarot cards astrologically connected to the Cardinal Air sign of the Zodiac, Libra. If you've watched any of the videos that I've made of the astrological correspondences to each Zodiac sign, you know that all 6 of these are connected to each sign. Like, each sign has their major arcana card. Today we're talking about Libra, so this is the card astrologically connected to it. It's Justice, and you can remember this really easily by the astrological sign of Libra is the sign of the scales, like that's the symbol, and Justice, very much every single illustration seems to have those same scales. So this is the major arcana card connected to the season. So it's about September 21st, 22nd, 23rd, that area, to the same time the next month in October, so about October 21st, 22nd, 23rd, that area. So that's the major arcana connected to it. And the Queen of Swords represents the final decan of Virgo, so it starts about September 11th to about October 11th. And then the King of Cups comes in after that to represent the 3rd decan of Libra, as well as the first 2 decans of Scorpio. So he's about the October 11th to about November 11th. And then we have the different 3 decans, because every single sign has like 3 decans who connect to it. It's the first 10 days of each or the first 10 days, the second 10 days, and the third 10 days of each season. So the 2 of Swords would be connected to the first decan of Libra, so that would be about September 21st to about September 30th. The second decan would represent the 3 of Swords, which would be October 1st to about October 10th or 11th, and then the 4 of Swords would correspond with the 3rd decan, October 11th to about October 20th, and then we get into Scorpio season. So that's a really short little look at the different decans, different astrological correspondence, and the different tarot cards. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to each one individually, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Now, all of my astrological knowledge on this information came from a book called Tarot and Astrology by Corinne Kenner. I will leave a link in the description below of where you can find that book, either in Google Play Books or ebooks, and you can find that on Amazon. You can find that on Google Play, I think, and you can find it anywhere pretty much that books are sold. And it's a really great book if you want to learn this stuff for yourself, because one thing, if you're like a tarot reader and you have this knowledge, people are really wowed by it. Like, they're so impressed that you know this, it can add to it. And another really cool thing about this is you can have, like, if you are one that want to predict the future or use it for fortune telling and stuff like that, then this way gives you a way to connect with the different times of the year. Like, all of these cards would be the time that I'm making this video right now, about September 23rd to about October 23rd. So it very much connects to that season. Up first, we'll talk about the major arcana card connected to Libra, and we have Justice right here. And like I said, Libra is the sign of the scales, and we have the scales right here in the person's hands. I don't know if this is male and female. We'll just say in their hands, they have this over here, and they have the Sword of Truth, that I like to call it as the Sword of Truth, over here in their right hand. So left hand is the scales, right hand is the sword, and we have that energy, you know, fairness, balance. That's what this time of year is. Northern hemisphere, you know, we're beginning to get into fall. Fall started like last week with the beginning of Libra. That is the cardinal air sign. You know, cardinal signs that start the seasons. So there might be a little bit of sadness. Like, there we go. We've got the 3 of Swords coming up, so that might be where the 3 of Swords is there, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we get there. But with the energy changing, like, summer's coming to an end for us in the northern hemisphere. You know, there's a lot of depression that's connected to that. They don't call it seasonal depression for nothing, but it does give us the time to really take the time to look within, find fairness and balance within, and believe that life is going to be more fair and just in our lives. Now, this is a great card to come up in a tarot reading, because a lot of times, like, people want tarot, they want hope for the future, they want things to get better, and this card kind of represents that. It says if life hasn't been fair to you lately, things are going to get better, depending on the position it is. Like, if you're doing a past, present, future position, and this appears in the present, then things are beginning, you're already starting to see those effects maybe of things getting more fair and balanced. And if it appears in the future position, then you have that hope for the future that things are going to get better. And a lot of times when you have that mindset, again, this is the suit of the air, so the suit of the mind. When you have a positive mindset, when you believe you are worthy of fairness and justice, life is going to become more fair and just for you, because you're telling the universe, this is what I want. Now, on the other side, if you think that you're only worthy of unfairness or imbalance in your life, life's not going to be fair to you, because you're telling the universe, I just enjoy being sad, or I enjoy life being unfair to me. So that is the Rider-Waite-Smith illustration right here. This is the waterproof 100% plastic deck. It's awesome. You can bend it like this and you can like get water on it and stuff. I love it. I definitely I had to have this deck in my collection because I like to take my tarot cards to the lake, and you know, regular cards like the ones down here, they definitely don't set up on the lake. But we've got that illustration. We know that one very well. We all love that one. The next one I have up is the Justice from the Pulp Tarot. And I love this illustration because it just shows this woman and how, well, for lack of a better word, how badass she is. Like, you've got the fire behind her, that passion, enthusiasm. She has the sword of truth, and she knows that she is worthy of fairness and balance and justice in her life. She's taking control of her life. She knows her worth, and you know, she's making her life fair because she knows how important like she is and how much she matters. One of the things about the sign of Libra, it's similar to the sign of Cancer, which I find is interesting because there's that mother archetype, the cardinal water sign. The cardinal air sign is very similar to this, that it's one of the things like that we know about them well. They care more about their partners very often, like their significant others, than they might do about themselves. So that whole fairness and balance that's connected with justice, yes, you want to be fair to your loved ones, fair to your significant others, and make sure that they're happy and well-rounded and just enjoying themselves. At the same time, you need to focus that same love and appreciation and see your own worth, because when you're happy, the people around you are happy. So this illustration kind of shows that she knows her worth, she knows she's happy, and she knows what lights her in her fire, and she's going to let that fire, you know, keep her balance within so she can go after her dreams. Now, the next illustration that we have is from the Everyday Witch Tarot, and I love this illustration because of the opposing energies of the cats. You have the black cat and you have the white cat. She's got the book right there. It might be the Bible, it might be some other form of truth. If I look closely, yeah, I still can't tell what that says, so if you know like what that book is. But you know, she's getting that knowledge and wisdom, and a lot of times the knowledge and wisdom that we accrue through our lives, that makes us more confident in ourselves and could make us feel more fair and balanced. Now, this illustration of justice, and I think actually all of these, there's no blindfold on justice. Like, they are very focused ahead. They know the truth because they see it, they observe, and there's a lot of that energy there. They're not blinded to it. Now, this illustration of justice, and we think of justice, a lot of times we can think of the Statue of Liberty, and I'm trying to remember, I do think she has a blindfold around her, which means like she's only focused on the truth and she's focused inward, which relates to the Two of Swords that we'll get to later. But in this illustration, she does have the blindfold, but one eye is still open. So we've been staying calm and collected within, you know, trusting our inner voices, trusting our guides. Let's not forget that this is the 11. All 3 of these, or 4 of these cards are 11. That's why I've got this one over here, so we can talk about the other aspect of justice as well. But that energy of 11 connects to the High Priestess when we reduce it to the 2. So Justice and the High Priestess are very much connected to each other, because when we take that time to trust our intuition, we're being more fair to ourselves and we're believing in ourselves more. And 11 follows the 10 of the Wheel of Fortune. So, you know, once you take that chance on yourself and you take that risk, you've learned that knowledge of the past. You know, you're fighting your inner demons. That's what I've come up with these 2 cats here, you know, and you're finding balance within so you can begin that next chapter of your story and believe that this chapter is going to be fair and just, despite maybe the previous chapter not being that way so much. Now, I love this illustration from the Beauty of Horror Tarot, which is right here, and what I like about it is here we're going to see this as all the characters or all the people that they have electrocuted in this electric chair. You can see them over here, you can see them back here, and there's quite a lot of them. And the way I like to see this card is this is the guy that did all the electrocuting. He's the one that decided what was fair and balanced and just to the ones that he's killed in the past, and he's taking that on himself now. Because life has become fair, life karma has occurred, and we can see like justice being the card of karma, because when life hasn't been fair to you in the past, people have taken advantage of you and stuff like that, you can believe that karma is going to come back for them and it's going to be more fair and balanced for you. So him sitting there with the thing on his head and everything, looking happy, he knows that his time has come. He knows that karma is being served, and he knows that life is not going to be, if you treat other people like crap, you know, it's going to come back on you. And I feel like that energy of this card definitely shows in that. He's got the sword too. She's got the sword. This illustration actually is the only one that we don't see the sword, so that's really interesting. I mean, if you want to get really close to it, what do cats have as claws, or as their paws? It's definitely swords, little claws. I don't know if you've ever seen my arm. It's getting a lot better, but there's nice little cat scratches and everything. There's a nice one right there, because cats do definitely have swords. as claws or knives and stuff like that, so it's a little bit dangerous. Anywho, those are the 11s connected to the Justice, connected to Libra. But like I said in the Leo video a couple months ago, Strength and Justice are interchangeable. They go hand in hand, in my opinion. In the Rider-Waite-Smith deck right here and the Aldo cards over here, it's very much the 11. It follows the Wheel of Fortune on the major arcana, and Strength sits at 8. But in the Marseille style tarots, such as the one from Patrick Valencia in the Trionfi della Luna, this is the Trionfi della Luna. It's not illustrated. It's very much the Marseille style. It's got like the just the regular pips that have wands, swords, cups, and pentacles. This illustration you can see right there is the 8, because the 8 of the Justice, that was the original, that was the Marseille style tarot. And you know, Marseille style was around long before the Rider-Waite-Smith was, so this is kind of the energy of the 8. And that's why I say that Strength and Justice are interchangeable, because I personally see Strength as a card of internal strength, finding the confidence to face our inner demons, finding the confidence to go after our dreams, and finding the internal strength to stand up for what we believe in. Now, when we find that confidence, that's what makes us feel balanced and whole within, because we feel that we are worthy of that fairness and justice in our lives. So the 8 of this, you know, double 4s connects to the number of 8 of strength and wealth, or success and wealth. That is the energy of the 8 in numerology. But that energy of the 8 there shows when we find that internal strength, we can be more fair to ourselves. And whereas strength would be in this deck, number 11, when we find that internal strength, we can go towards the next chapter of our story with the confidence, because we believe we're worthy of fairness and justice. So I just wanted to point that out, that sometimes strength and justice are interchangeable. While all of these 4 cards very much connect to the energy of 11, you know, the High Priestess, this one connects more to the energy of strength. It connects more to that energy of the 8. You know, once we get behind the wheel of our chariot, because that is the number 7, we can find the confidence, be fair to ourselves, and focus on life becoming more fair to us, because we know our internal truths. So that is the energy of Justice, the card, a major arcana card astrologically connected to Libra. So about September 23rd to about October 23rd, there is the energy there. And we'll move forward to the Queen of Swords, which is astrologically connected to the first 2 deacons as well as the last deacon of Virgo. So this queen represents the about September 11th to about October 11th, and she's the energy there. And this is one of my personal favorite queens. I am more related to the Queen of Wands, but we will talk more about her when we get to, or we have talked about her, I think, in the Aries video. But with the Queen of Swords, she's known a lot of pain in her life. She's experienced a lot of pain, but she's not letting her hold that back in the present. She's learned from that experience, you know, just like the High Priestess has learned from her own experiences, and they find the confidence because they find the wisdom within that they have accrued from those dark times in their lives. So the Rider-Waite-Smith is right here, and you can see there she's very much looking forward. She's got her arm out. She's got that little bracelet around her arm. I cannot remember what that's called right now, but she's got her arm moving, like presenting forward. You know, I can't go back to my past. I can't relive that, but I have the knowledge and wisdom that has accrued. You've got the clouds right there, you know, they're dissipating. The sky is blue up there, so life is going to get better for her. She knows her truth, just like Justice did, and she knows the past can no longer hurt her, learning the lessons that past had to teach her. So we have that illustration right there. You have the little angel on the thing, you've got the butterflies on the crown, you know, transformation, just better times, because you've learned from the experiences of the past. The first card I'd like to talk about, or the first illustration, is the one from the Deviant Moon Tarot. And if you know me and you watch my videos and stuff, you know this is hands down my favorite deck. So it always seems like when I do these astrological correspondence videos, Deviant Moon appears somewhere. We already talked about the Marseille style by Patrick Valencia. That's very much the same guy that makes the Deviant Moon Tarot. Just love, 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 love his illustrations. And we have the illustration here. She's got 2 swords, because it kind of relates back to Justice there with the 2 swords, you know, balance, that kind of thing. But what I like about this illustration is the blood that's on this sword and the tear coming down from her face right there. She knows that the past wasn't nice to her. She knows she might have taken advantage of someone else in the past. Someone might have taken advantage of her in the past. But in the present, she's learned the lessons that past had to teach her, and she's moving forward with confidence, knowing that life's not always going to be nice, but that strength comes from overcoming that past, and that's how she's able to move forward. And this illustration, she's very much moving forward. You know, I always see it as if you're looking this way, you're looking in the past, but if you're looking this way, you're looking towards in the future. And so she knows She has what it takes. She trusts her mind because she's learned from the experiences, and she's able to move forward with confidence. Now, this queen is considered the only queen of the court that doesn't necessarily need a man or have a man in her life. Yes, there is a king of swords as well, but this queen is kind of seen as like the divorced queen. I think I've read that multiple places. So that might be the pain that she's experienced. You know, she doesn't need a man. She trusts herself in her mind, and she's left the pain of the past behind, knowing her own worth and able to move forward with confidence. And a lot of times, like in our own lives, like as the older we get, the more we realize that life isn't always fair and just and balanced. But when we take that knowledge with us, when we find the strength to have the confidence we need to trust in our minds, you know, we can move forward and leave that past behind, taking that knowledge with us. And a lot of, like, I always like to say that if we forget the past, all the things, all the negative things that have accrued, all the things, like, just not even from our own histories, but the history of humanity itself, if we forget those pasts, we're doomed to repeat them, because things just happen in a pattern, a routine, and if we forget it, then there's a good chance that we're just going to have to do it over, so we learn again. So learning from those experiences, finding the confidence to trust ourselves and our minds, you know, that can help us move forward and make the life better for everyone. Next Queen of Swords we're going to talk about is from the Healing Light Tarot, and you can see the illustration here, the confidence, the happiness, the ability to move forward. We got pinks and purples instead of the dark and depressing like we have with the clouds and stuff, and then it's like everything's dark and desolate in this illustration. Everything's pink and purple and bright and beautiful, and you had the butterflies, which relates to transformation, and it shows, you know, even if the past wasn't kind to us, the future is ours to create. The future is ours to transform. So when we learn from those pasts, and I keep repeating this, when we learn from those past, even the painful ones that people took advantage of us or made us feel like we aren't good enough, when we find the confidence to believe that we are good enough, you know, we can make the future what we want it to be. So this illustration, her holding that sword up and raising it to the heavens, means I know my truth, I know my power, and I'm not going to let the past hold me back anymore. And that's why I love the Queen of Swords so much, is because she's learned from those experiences. She's wiser because of them. And she knows that she can take that knowledge and wisdom and trust herself and her mind to make her future what she wants it to be. And lastly, for the Queen of Swords, but certainly not least, we have the Guardian of the Night Tarot. And I love this illustration because I did mention wise with her, with the Queen of Swords and the Healing Light, because we are wiser because of our past, when we learn from those experiences. And every single one of these illustrations has something in common. They all have that sword there. They all have that sword of truth that Justice had as well, because they know that life might not have been fair in the past, but they are worthy of fairness, balance, and justice in the future. So they have that confidence to move forward. They have that wisdom from the past. And what are owls? But like, that's one of the things I always like love about owls, is the fact that they are so intelligent. They're so wise. They're the only animal in the world that can turn their head completely around, like 360 as far as I know. Ability to like see where they've been and able to look forward too. And if you didn't know, owls can also, like, they're the only animal that flies silently. You can't even hear them flying. That's fascinating. So they have this confidence, this almost like ability that no one else can, and they're quiet about it. And a lot of times when we don't feel like life is fair and balanced, that's when we're loud, we're too vocal and stuff like that. So taking a little note from like the Owl's Guidebook of, you know, being quiet in our truth and being sneaky about it, almost to go after our truth or after the lives we want. Don't like yell it to the world that this is what we're going to do, but staying confident, learning from those experiences past, and always following our truths, that can help make life for more fair and balanced. Just because the past wasn't kind doesn't mean the future has to be much of the same. Queen of Swords knows this, and with the energy of the season and energy of Libra, perhaps we can find it too, and we can know that we can make our lives what we want them to be, more fair and balanced. As mentioned with the Queen of Swords, she's astrologically connected to the last decan of Virgo and the first two decans of Libra. So the King of Cups takes in that third decan about October 11th to into Scorpio season with the first two decans, so October 11th to November 11th. And we have the different illustrations here. And I always love the energy of the King of Cups because he says, follow your heart. Let your heart lead in everything you do. So if you have an important question, you have something going on in your life, the King of Cups says, let your heart lead. Emotional happiness, you know, if you're focused on your happiness of your heart as well as the happiness of your mind, life becomes more fair and balanced. And we have 4 different illustrations here. They're very, very different. The King of Cups from the Rider-Waite-Smith again, you know, he's floating on the water. He's letting the emotions, ocean of emotion as I like to call it, he's letting that lead him to finding the life that he truly loves and enjoys. And he's not part of the ocean. He's not part of the water. But this illustration right here of the polar bear from the Tarot of Curious Creatures, we have the illustration here, and he's just one with the water. He's got his feet, he doesn't seem to be in the water, but the fish are underneath him. That throne or the seat that he's sitting in, that's very much in the water as well. So these illustrations are very similar. I love the fact that this has a polar bear on it, because it can go out to our hearts and make us feel make us want to make the world a better place, not just for ourselves but the world in general. Because with the ice caps melting and the water getting warmer and everything, polar bears are not having, like, they're not as comfortable as they could have been. They're not as comfortable as they used to be, and their environments are starting to become a little bit, well, a little less happy and positive and less there than they were before. So this can pull at our heartstrings and tell us we need to be nicer to the world and do our parts to make the world a better place, recycle and stuff like that. Definitely important. And if we do our parts, we can make the world a little bit better for all. You know, the fish down here is very angry, he seems. With the polar bear, he even looks sad as he looks forward. He looks a little bit sad and determined as well. So, you know, it can relate back to the King of, or Queen of Swords too, that the emotional fulfillment that the king is, he might have had to work hard for that. He might have experienced painful emotions in his past, reasons to make him not feel that he's worthy of fairness and balance. And, you know, in the present, he knows how important it is to follow his heart. So that's what the King of Cups is all about, following your heart, letting your heart lead. Now, the second illustration I have, you can see it's actually set up differently, and I love this because it's so much different than any other illustration of the King of Cups. For one, there's 2 women instead of like a male in the illustration, and they are not sitting above the water, they are one with the water. So they've got there's 2 of them, kind of says heart and mind working together, in my opinion, the sign of the twins relating to Gemini, of the mutable air sign of the Zodiac. So mutable and cardinal, they can go hand in hand, because when you're a leader, you're able to go with change more easily. You're able to take control and find the confidence you need to lead with your heart. And that's what the Muse of Emotions, aka the King of Cups, is all about. You know, diving deep into those emotions, trying to figure out what they're trying to teach us so we can really trust ourselves and know what fills our hearts with joy so we can let it lead in our lives. And hands down, my favorite illustration of the King of Cups ever is the one from the Zombie Tarot. And I love, love, love this illustration. It's so whimsical. It's so fun. It's so weird. His eyes are above the water. His head is above the water. His brain, the chakra that's up there, I cannot remember what it's called right now. Spirit chakra, maybe? But we have that illustration very much. His heart's down in the emotions, his legs, his feet, and everything. He's able to, but he's looking back at his past too. So that's kind of like an idea that, like, maybe he needs more love for himself in the past so he can move forward with confidence. But with his eyes above the water, it kind of says like your mind is focused on what you want to achieve, whereas your heart and your body and everything is focused on letting it lead you to happier, more emotionally fulfilling times. So this has the illustration and the energy that these 3 have, with the you know, getting into that ocean of emotion and letting your emotions and your positive emotions and heart lead your way forward. But again, like, the mind is above the water. The mind is focused on following that truth, the thing that you truly love and enjoy. And what is fairness and balance in life but our hearts and minds being focused on a single goal? So if we want to create a life that we truly love and enjoy, then our minds need to be on board for it too, and be something that we're really confident about, something that we really love to do. Heart and mind working together, you know, body and soul working there too, like it's fully balanced and like focused on our goals. But when we really love what we do, then our minds are focused on it too, and so that kind of gives me that energy. And plus, this is just a fun illustration. It's just so entertaining, and I love the way it is, how he's down in the water and he's got the sailor cat. So he's very much a king, he's very much a leader, and he's very focused on what emotionally fulfills him. We'll talk more about the King of Cups in the next video. That's astrological connection video that comes up in Scorpio season. And I know this guy is definitely going to make an appearance in that because, again, he's my favorite illustration. It's just so much fun. Zombie Tarot, one of the coolest decks out there. It's going to make an appearance in my next video, but we'll talk about that when the time comes. Onto the 3 deacons that correspond to the 10 days of this month or season of Libra. We have the 2 of Swords, which corresponds with the first deacon of Libra, about September 23rd to about September 30th. So at the making of this video, when it comes out on the first day, you know, premiere day, it will be September 30th. So this is very much the illustration and the card most connected to that time, September 23rd to about September 30th. And you can see the different illustrations here. Here's the Rider-Waite-Smith. She's got the ocean behind her. She's got the blindfold on. She's got her swords crossed. So this is the time, you know, connects to the High Priestess with that too, connects to the Justice of 11, you know, taking that time to really look within, decide where we want to go now. Because 2 is a number of partnerships, choices, balance, empathy, kindness, and compassion. So we need to take that time to look within, really trust our minds, and trust that we can lead ourselves to where we want to be. And we need to take that time to really look within, to learn what the past has to teach us. When we let the negative emotions just overwhelm us, which we'll get into that with Scorpio season a little more, but when we let the negative emotions overwhelm us, we really can't trust our minds, because our minds are just filling us with doubt and anxiety. But taking that time to take a breath, leaving those emotions behind us, and that's what I love about this illustration, and these 2 as well, shows the ocean of emotion behind us, taking that time to really push those emotions away so we can find, just trust our minds about it. You know, the High Priestess of the Major Arcana, you know, label 2, so she very much connects to this. She knows the occurrence of the past. She knows that things haven't been pretty in the past, not even just in our own lives, but as the history of humanity as well. And she's taking the time to learn the lessons that those pasts have to teach her, to know that the future can be different when we take that time to leave behind the negative emotions, take a deep breath, and find balance within from learning from those experiences. And the illustration here, you know, this is the one that doesn't have the ocean of emotion behind it, because it's Snoop Dogg from the Simpsons Tarot, and he's got his little hatchets there instead of swords, and he's in the clouds. So this does connect to the suit of air, you know, the suit of swords, the suit of the mind, because he's above it. He's risen above the negative emotions. There is no ocean of emotion in this illustration like there is in these 3, but he's above it. He's in the clouds. You know, he's got that high mindset. If this is Snoop Dogg, I don't remember if it is exactly, but it definitely looks like it. He's high, so he's risen above it, and he's not letting the negative emotions hold him back anymore. Now this illustration of the 2 of Swords is from the Titanic Tarot Risen Spirits. Big difference between the Titanic first edition and the second edition. The second edition actually has illustrated pips, whereas the first edition doesn't really have that. They're all kind of similar, you know, like Marseille style. It's got the discs, the pentacles. Their discs are pentacles, swords, cups, and wands, you know, and just different illustrations. But here we have her sitting in a lifeboat. It seems the Titanic has already sank, and she's taking that time to find her truth, to know where she wants to move forward next. She's blinded herself, like she's got the blindfold on, so she's not paying attention to the pain that might be holding on to. She's blinding herself to the external distractions, and that's, I love the fact that these have blindfolds on them, and even Snoop Dogg has his little sunglasses on. She doesn't, but we'll get to her in a minute. But being able to tune within, to turn within, to learn the secrets of our soul like the High Priestess does, we have to turn off those distractions. We have to turn off like the negative emotions, not let them overwhelm us anymore, so we can find the confidence we need to move forward and succeed at making our lives better than they were before. Yes, she's experienced much pain in her life. There's much dark and depression here, but she's not letting it hold her back. She's not letting those negative emotions rule her anymore, and she's able to just take a breath, take a deep breath, be able to look within and really trust the inner voice instead of letting it overwhelm her. Last but not least, I have the United States of Tarot right here, and what I love about this illustration, she very much has the ocean of emotion behind her. She has the We the People on the top of that, so that is Declaration of Independence, if I remember correctly. For some reason, Emancipation Proclamation is in my head right now, but you see that down there. I think it is the Declaration of Independence, and the ocean of emotion behind her, so she's not letting the pain of the past hold her back either, much like the illustrations we have on these 3. But what it really sticks out to me is the guns right here. You have the machine gun, you have the shotgun, I believe, right there. And she's got the swords of truth, and she knows that fighting is not the answer. Learning from the past and learning from the negative experience of the past, not just our own personal ones, but history as well. Fighting is not the answer. And if we can get through this, if we can rise above it, you know, like Snoop Dogg rising high above it and into the clouds, perhaps we can find a time where we know guns aren't the answer. Perhaps we can find a time where we don't need them as much and we don't need to fight our way to better times. You know, trusting our minds, trusting ourselves, and being fair and balanced in our lives can help make other lives balanced and more fair too. So just not the anger, not the destruction, not the war and stuff like that. You know, finding a time of peace and harmony within can help us find a time of peace and harmony externally too. And like all three of these illustrations, especially the ocean of emotions behind it, that means the negative emotions aren't there anymore. And a lot of times the negative emotions, letting that sadness fill us, a lot of times can cause us to want to lash out to others. And that's where the guns and everything come in. And that's why, you know, it's not the best idea, because we're going on that crime of passion, we're going on that fear and that anger. You know, we can't change that. If we shoot somebody and we end their lives, we have to live with that for the rest of our own lives. So finding peace within, very much the energy of the Two of Swords, turning off the distractions and taking that time to tune our attention within to learn the secrets of our souls, that can help us move forward to happier, more peaceful, and more fair times for everyone. The Three of Swords is up next. It corresponds to the second decan of Libra, about October 1st to about October 11th, and this is one of the most disliked cards of the entire tarot. This is the card of heartbreak and betrayal, and we can tell it very much from these three illustrations. There's much sadness and despair in these illustrations. The Rider-Waite-Smith has the Three Swords stabbed through the heart. You can see it right there, the rain pouring down and everything, the clouds, the gray. You know, when your heart is broken, when someone's taken advantage of you, someone's betrayed you, you know, this is a cheating spouse, someone that you thought you could trust, and it turns out you can't. So this is not a fun card to appear. Personally, like, I really get uncomfortable if it appears in a reading, especially in that future position, because it says, hey, one of you might not be as trustworthy as you thought. So the illustration, like, it's definitely very sad, very depressing. But there is an empowerment and an inspiration to this card that I think a lot of people don't know. The three there relates to the Empress of the Major Arcana, creativity and creation itself. And it says, once you've been hurt, once you felt that betrayal, you are free. When you're able to leave the negative emotions behind, when you're able to see that there's more to be seen, when you're able to not let the pain of the past hold you back, your future is yours to create. You'll know that not everything is going to turn out like the way you want it. Not everybody's out to be your best, do their best to you. They might be out to take advantage of you. But once you learn your own confidence and once you see your power to create, you know, you can take those swords out. One of those swords can be the sword of truth that we talked about with justice. And you take that sword, you take that mind, and you take that heart and you remend it, knowing that the future is different. Your future is yours to create. Now, I've chosen the Sola Busca Tarot for this illustration because I just love the fact that it's the same pretty much illustration. It shows the Three Swords. But the interesting thing about the Sola Busca Tarot here, these swords, he's got pens, but swords there, they're uncovered. They're not in their sheath. Like, these have to be pulled out. So it takes a little bit more like time to do that. And it kind of suggests that when you've been really hurt, you know, you want to keep those feelings within. You want to hold them in. You don't want to feel them necessarily because they're too painful. But when you take the time to really uncover that inner truth, you know, take those swords out of the sheaths, the covers or whatever they are, I can't say that word very well, but when you take those out, when you're able to look within and really take the time to let those tears flow, let the pain flow, you know that the future, you can learn from it and know that the future is yours to create and that pain doesn't have to hold you back anymore. The next illustration I have is my personal favorite illustration of the Three of Swords, and it's this awesome little crow right here standing in the middle of a city. He's got his heart pinned with like sewing needles or something on his chest, and this says, like, that's the energy that I mentioned with the Three of Swords up here, is maybe the past wasn't kind. He's looking towards it, like he's learned from it, he's experienced it, but he knows maybe a different change of scenery is better for him. He knows that the future is his to create, and he's moving forward to create that. So never forget, if you're dealing with this pain and heartbreak, even we can use this time of year, like I said, seasons, October 1st to October 10th. That's really when the leaves start changing colors and falling. I'm already starting to see it now. I've been seeing it for a couple months, honestly. But that can do a lot to fill us with sadness and depression. But if we can learn from the trees and the leaves and everything, you know, when spring comes around, when Aries season comes back, Aries and Libra are very connected because they're very opposite energies. You know, when the sun is in Libra and the full moon comes, the full moon is in Aries, we know that we take this time to like look within, learn from the past, no matter how painful it was. Just like the leaves fall from the trees, the leaves grow back in the Aries season. So we know that the future is different. The future always comes back, and we're able to create that when we learn from that past and we believe in our creative energy. Having taken those lessons from the past, we can add the 2 of the High Priestess, you know, learning the lessons, and that 1 of the Magician combined to make the Empress, you know, taking action once we take the time to look within and learn from that pain. And that's what the 3 of Swords is all about, and why I really love this illustration, because this crow has definitely done that. You know, crows, ravens, and me, definitely, like, I love them more than anything. And we have the illustration right here from the Oak, Ash, and Thorn Tarot. You can see the crow or the raven up there, and she's looking very sad. She's looking down at the leaf, and this relates to this time of year, you know, that fallen leaf. That might be why she's sad. The rain is coming down, but once you're able to learn from that past, once you're able to see that there's a better time ahead, believe you are worthy of fairness and balance and justice in your life, you're able to fly free from that pain, taking the sword of truth with you and finding the confidence you need to create the future you truly want to live, the one your heart is really passionate about, and the one your mind is on board with as well. So that is the 3 of Swords, the most one of the most depressing cards of the minor arcana, but there's such an empowerment to it when you're able to learn from those experiences of the past and know that the future is yours to create. The last decan of Libra, occurring about October 11th to about October 20th, 21st, that area, corresponds to the 4 of Swords. Now, after that pain of the past, after taking that time to turn off the distractions and look within, leaving the oceans of emotions behind you, after experiencing that heartbreak and betrayal, we talked about the 3 of Swords, we need to take that time to rest and reflect. And that is the energy of the 4 of Swords. This is the Rider-Waite-Smith illustration, like I've shown with all the other ones. And what I really love with this is it shows like the true energy I feel with the 4 of Swords. You can see the sword down right there. That could be his sword of truth, you know, learning from the past. And this is the soldier that could have died in war, and he's taking that break and taking that rest on his final, what could have been his final resting place. You see the window of the church there. There's no one else around. There could be people outside, but he knows he needs this time of inner reflection. That energy of the 4 relates to a strong foundation. In order to see ourselves as that strong foundation, we need to take the time to look within and learn the secrets of our soul and get heart, body, mind, and soul all focused on a single goal, so we can create the external strong foundations we want for ourselves. But having come back from war and not knowing whether he'd survive or he'd live to see another day, he didn't know what the future was going to be like. He didn't know what he wanted to do in this future. And after our hearts have been broken in two, the lives that we may have been working to create coming to an end, we don't know what our futures are going to be like either. So we need to take that time to really look within and see ourselves as the strong foundations that we truly are, so that we can make our futures what we want them to be, learning from those experiences of the past. And that's why it's so important to take this time of rest and reflection. And as summer turns to fall for us in the northern hemisphere, it's a great time to really look within, to take that time of introspection, so we can decide what we want the future to be, what we want to do with our lives when summer comes around again. So that's the illustration of the Rider-Waite-Smith, and then we have the illustration of the Dark Mansion Tarot. And it's very similar to that of the Rider-Waite-Smith up here, because she is in a mausoleum. She's sitting there. She's very sad. And she could be mourning the pain that she's experienced in the past, mourning the loss of a loved one. Maybe perhaps they died, perhaps they left him, perhaps they cheated on her, which we have with the 3 of Swords. And she's down there. She's very sad. She's looking down. But she's taking that time again to look within, spend that time of rest and reflection in some place that she feels comfortable in. I don't know if you're like me, and I personally like mausoleums and graveyards and stuff. It's some of the most peaceful places I've ever been. I love just sitting in a cemetery and just enjoying everything around me. It's sad, yes, that people have died there, but that's part of life. Everybody dies, as much as we don't want to admit it. But taking that time really to sit someplace that we feel comfortable, someplace that we enjoy, and really sitting with our pain to overcome it. That's how we can move forward and see ourselves as the strong foundations that we are. So this one's sad, but I put a joyful one in here too, and it's the Modern Love Tarot. And it's just a girl like enjoying the water, sitting there floating. She's got the swords laying on the bottom, It's just, it shows that positive side of taking the time to rest and reflect so we know where we want to move moving forward. Said this is the Modern Love Tarot by Ethany. You can see there, like, she's not just, you know, leaving the ocean of emotion behind her like we saw with the Two of Swords, but she's actually one with it. So she's connecting to that King of Cups too, being one with her emotions, so she could take that time to decide where she wants to be. Now, personally, the reason I just get so depressed during fall into autumn when summer's over is because this is my go-to. This is my happy place. This is the one place that I'm good at meditating, is floating on a lake. Same tube, very similar tube to this. You know, I sit Indian style in it. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think it's easy pose in yoga, where you sit like with your legs crossed and stuff like that, and you sit there and you just let nature just keep you comfortable and enjoy it. Floating there can leave all the negative emotions you're holding behind, so you can really find the confidence to move forward and know what you want to do with your life, like we mentioned with the Rider-Waite-Smith illustration. So facing those oceans of emotions, taking the time to really rest and reflect and meditate so you can learn what the past has to teach you, you know, that's how you can see yourself as a strong foundation you truly are. And last but not least, I have the Mary L. Tarot here. And what I like about this illustration is it's like none of the other ones, and it's very different than like the ones we see because there's no people in it. You can see the clouds there. They're very much moving forward, or they're moving behind, it seems. I don't know, they're moving this way maybe. So that could be seen moving forward, and blue skies are left ahead. So even when life feels sad, even when clouds are in the sky and it seems like every single day is stormy and dreary, when you see that patch of blue sky, you can believe that life is going to get better. One of my favorite sayings, and it's probably not a good saying anymore, but it's one that I grew up knowing, and I still enjoy using this today, is if you see a patch of blue sky despite the clouds that's bigger than a Dutch boy's pants, that's what my mom always told me, then the blue sky is going to win out and the sun is going to come out again. All this means is even if you just see a tiny patch of blue sky in the sky, believe that the sun is going to come out and the rain is going to dissipate. So taking that time to look within, to learn the secrets of your soul, and to see yourself as the strong foundation that you are, you know that the sun can shine in your life again. You know that life is going to get better. And this comes back to Justice of the Major Arcana. You can start believing that life is going to be more fair and balanced because you've learned from that past. And I feel like that's a great energy of the season of Libra as summer turns to fall, and, you know, taking that time for inner reflection, you know, taking that time to turn out the distractions like we talked about with the Two of Swords, learning from that heartbreak and betrayal, and seeing that the future is ours to create despite the pain of our past, can lead us to the Four of Swords when we start seeing ourselves as the strong foundation we are, and take the time to meditate, to look within, to turn our attention within so we can decide what we want to do moving forward. This is a great time for introspection. This is a great time to learn from the past so we can make our futures what we want them to be. So that was a look at the tarot cards astrologically connected to the cardinal air sign of Libra. We had Justice here as the major arcana occurring for the entire season, so September 21st, 22nd, 23rd, that area, to the following October 21st, 22nd, 23rd. The Queen of Swords corresponds to the first two decans as well as the last decan of Libra or Virgo. So it's about September 11th to about October 11th, and the King of Cups connects with the October 11th to about November 11th into Scorpio. Then the Two of Swords would connect with the first decan. The second decan would be the Three of Swords, and the Four of Swords would be the third decan of Libra. So very much the suit of the mind, the air sign, the cardinal air sign of the mind. So taking that time to really learn from our past so we can lead moving forward and believe we are worthy of fairness and justice, so we can follow our hearts to where they want to lead us. You know, that's how we take control. That's how we make the best of the season in front of us. Again, I learned all this information from a book, Tarot and Astrology by Corinne Kinner. If you enjoyed this video, I do every single season, or every single zodiac sign, I will have them up moving forward. I think I only have 2 or 3 left at this point, and they'll all go into a playlist so you can check them all out. It's a really cool thing to know the astrological correspondences, because it gives you this knowledge not everyone has, and you know, you can like show off a little bit. If someone tells you their birthday, let's say that their birthday is September 22nd, then their major arcana card would be Justice, their court card would be the Queen, and this Two of Swords would be the card minor arcana card connected to them. So it's a cool little effect that you can just like wow people with, and you know, it's always good. I think that there's always something new to learn with the tarot, and this might have taught you something. Again, I'll have the rest of them up. I think Pisces is the last one I have, so this series will be completed in February. Really excited about that. If you enjoyed this and you stayed through, I really want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again in the next one.